A nefarious GitHub ring creates hundreds of backdoor apps.
Tony, you found an interesting story that it goes all over the place. It goes to GitHub, accounts, and then apparently ends up in a botnet for sneaker selling. Can you dive into this a little bit, please?
Absolutely. Now, this one really was interesting to me because the researchers, they stumbled across a ring of nefarious GitHub accounts. And within these GitHub accounts, they found over 300 different legitimate applications that were backdoored or altered, and they were posted out there. They also had built this web of other accounts that would either watch or star the main GitHub accounts to kind of increase the popularity of them. There was one account that they discovered that contained 305 ELF binaries. There was also, I think, about 78 other apps that were spanned across an additional 80 or so GitHub accounts as well. So they created this net, and with all of these other non-nefarious accounts kind of, watching them, and they just expand the popularity of them. It was really interesting the way that they kind of did that within the GitHub environment.
It's not a concept that's brand new. I think we've heard of things like this before. The fascinating things to me is kind of like the abuse of trust that we have in GitHub.
The backdoor was actually it's called, Supreme NYC BlazeBot, which is just an infection. And what it does is when it gets triggered, it does boot persistence. So you have these legitimate apps that were now backdoored. People are able to pull these things down, and once they're in place, as you said, they created something called a sneaker bot. What this was used for was online auctioning for very expensive shoes. So out of all of this work that they did within GitHub, going after different Mac, Linux, and Windows applications, they did it for online auctioning for expensive shoes. It was such kind of an interesting twist with this. So that's really what the story had in place. But there was a ton of research by the research company DFIR that when you go there, you see all this breakdown. And it goes all over the place on the analysis, and it was really, really interesting.
Yeah. Stan, I don't know if you read it, but it was really deep analysis. I think you would really get a kick out of reading it.
It sounds like it, yeah. I hadn't read it, but this sounds unbelievable.
Yeah.
The amount of effort to go through to create a GitHub, personas that will be able to contribute to projects and starring them. That takes a lot of work. Just to create a botnet for sneaker?
Well, apparently the profit is there in selling these expensive sneakers. Like Supreme, the brand it's named after, is a well-known clothing brand, and their stuff, it goes for ridiculous prices online. From what I understand, there are people out there, sneakerheads, who will go and pay any price for the rare sneakers that are out there. So, if you're a criminal and you understand that market, and you write code to manipulate it and take advantage of it, then yeah, I guess it's another way to make money. I think it's interesting that this is being done on GitHub. I think you find something cool on GitHub, you look at that user's, other code that they've checked in, and it's very easy to fork one repo to another one on GitHub, and it'll tell you, yeah, it's been forked from here. So there are plenty of unauthorized copies of software that are going around, like someone intended to share the source code, but you may find copies of it on someone who, sometimes it's legit. Sometimes all they've done is fork it for their own private development. They may make a change to a small feature or something. But in this case, it sounds like they're intentionally taking those repos and adding some backdoor stuff. And unless you bother to take a look at the commit history of this repo, you're not going to notice the difference. You may just assume, oh yeah, this guy's just, he's got his own copy. It can't be a big deal.
It is pretty scary. Sometimes it's not clear to know who is the original source of the material. Sometimes, you take a forked branch, and that might be the copy that's being worked on. right now, in active deployment, in active development. So this is unbelievable. I mean, I can't imagine others are not trying to do similar things, and it's quite scary. I think we'll have to be very vigilant about what we get from GitHub, and make sure that we don't overly trust, software packages just because they're up on GitHub.
Yeah.
Just because it's on GitHub or it's an open source project, be very careful what you're downloading.
If you download a library or a tool, try and find the primary source for that software instead of downloading it from somebody else's GitHub repo, because without careful inspection, it's hard to tell what changes have been made. And those changes may include malicious ones.